What's going on, guys, and welcome to the first episode of my FIFA 16 career mode. Yes, the wait is finally over and I'm so excited for this series. And if you're a new viewer to the channel, I do recommend clicking that subscribe button, as I do upload FIFA videos every single day, usually twice, and this series will be uploaded daily. So yeah, really excited for my FIFA 16 career mode. And of course, the team you guys chose for me was Watford. They won the poll. Thank you to everyone for voting in that poll. Watford were the winners. Really excited for this, and I think they were the best choice as well out of the poll. Really think they're going to be a great team for this year's career mode, and hopefully I can make this series a really good one for you. So Watford, of course, a newly promoted side to the Premier League, came up from the Championship last season after finishing in second place. First thing we have to do is get ourselves into a pre-season tournament, a new feature for this year's FIFA. I just chose to win the most prize money available, and as you can see right here, we get ourselves into the game, and the first thing we do is take a look at our inbox. So the aims for Watford this season, the board have given us the objective of trying to finish in a mid-table position come the end of the season, and in the cup to reach the round of 16. Now those aims for me are totally fair. You know, this Watford side is not a bad side whatsoever. We haven't just come up from the Championship with Watford and been left with a really poor squad. It's a pretty decent starter squad to begin with for a side just promoted from the second tier of English football. So to finish in mid-table, I think is totally fair. Usually cups in the first season, I'm not really that fussed, but to be honest, they want us to reach the round of 16 stage. I'm pretty sure we could do so in one of either the FA Cup or the Capital One Cup. So, you know, those aims for me are totally fine, and they're not too daunting at all, in my opinion. I think we can definitely achieve both of those with Watford and try and have a good first season. My individual aim for Watford, though, aside from what the board want, really, is to try our best to basically shape this squad to one which is going to look good for the future. Now, when I do career mode saves, I usually try and bring in some good young players with decent potential for the future, and, you know, really try and lay the groundwork for the future in the first season. You know, the first couple of transfer windows, trying to shift on some of the deadwood of the club, bring in some young, fresher faces. That's what I really want to do this season with Watford. You know, if you finish in mid-table, finish in the round of 16 in the cup, for example, it may not be flashy, it may not be an exciting season for league positions and cup performances, but if we get ourselves the squad we want to set ourselves up for the future, that's the most important thing in my opinion. So with this squad, as you can see here with the squad report right now, as I mentioned, it's not a bad side at all. Some very decent players in there. The first 11 I picked, sort of for my first 11, what it would be if we were going in straight into a game straight away. I think there's only one player that's under 75 overall, and that's Belkalem, the centre-back. So as a starter squad for a side that just come up from the Championship, it really isn't that bad at all, and therefore we don't need to do that much work, but we've got a very decent transfer budget here with Watford, £21.6 million. Of course, I got a 60% boost for previous progress in FIFA. They got a few players loaned out. Also, an interesting side note, Nathan Ake is actually loaned in from Chelsea, but in the game he's a permanent Watford player. Not sure what that's about, but either way, that's nice to take him on a permanent deal, I suppose. And as you can see, the budget is going to be around £20 million with Watford, maybe a little bit less, depending on wage budget and transfer budget alterations. As you can see on the screen now as well, there's also a new feature in FIFA 16 career mode, and that's player training. Now, training is something which is new to the game, and obviously it's going to take me a while to get used to it, but it is something I'm really excited to sort of learn about and try and develop my own skill set at it. But basically with player training, what I'm going to do is simulate them every single time they come round. You have the opportunity to play these drills, which you assign to these players. You can either give, you can assign 5 different players or 5 drills to 1 player if you want, but basically every single time training becomes available, I'm just going to simulate the drills, not play any of them whatsoever, and just show you, you know, how the players got on. Training is definitely something I will look into for the future, try and, you know, better my performance of training and try and make sure my players get the best results, but I'm just going to simulate them right from the beginning anyway, and I'll show you the results, how they did in the drills regardless, but it's not going to be a feature we'll go into too much, certainly not in this episode. Regardless, with the pre-season friendlies as well, this is the first career mode of mine you've watched, I basically simulate all the way through pre-season. It's something I don't really bother playing at all, to be honest, but I do usually play one game in the first season in pre-season. So what I decided to do was basically simulate the first couple of games in the group stages, see how we got on, and then play the first game whenever I got the chance to. But regardless, with Watford, as you can see right now, we are going to get some transfer bids for our players. I put quite a few of them on the transfer list, quite a few of them on the loan list as well. First transfer offer we got of the series here was for this striker who's 18 years old, 56 overall. We're going to loan him him out to Cambridge for a year and see how he does come the end of the season. We then had another transfer offer here, this time a transfer for Anya, the left back, who is pretty rapid, 66 overall, 27 years old. Bolton wanted for 350 grand. That is his valuation, and we just go ahead and say yes. Like I said, these players right here, they're not bad players at all. Anya is not a bad player at all, but he's probably not going to get into my side very often because we've got Holobaz playing left back. Nathan Ake, of course, is a permanent Watford player on the game for some reason. He'll probably get some game time as well. Anya's going to be like third choice. We don't really need them, and that's the main aim for the first couple of transfer windows. Sell on those players who are going to be reserve players, taking up wage space. We don't really need them. They're, you know, towards the, well, 27's not old, but, you know, they're not at their youngest, if you will, with loads of potential for the future. So those sort of players, trying to get them out of the club and bring in younger faces is the main aim for me in the first couple of transfer windows. And as for bringing in those younger players, my main transfer target for our first season with Watford is Jack Butland of Stoke City. Now, Gomez for Watford is not a bad goalkeeper at all. 75 overall. Very, very decent experienced goalkeeper. He's 34 years old, but because he's 34 years old, there is a chance he could decrease pretty quickly. Whereas Jack Butland is already 2 ratings higher at 77 overall, and he's 12 years younger at just 22 years old. Obviously, since Begovic got sold to Chelsea, Butland's became the number 1. Mark Hughes has a lot of faith in him, but we want to try and take him away from the Britannia Stadium, bring him to Vicarage Road, and make him our number 1 for the foreseeable future. Bertrand Traore wouldn't be a bad signing either. I put in a £0 offer there just for his evaluation, read to see what Chelsea come back and say. And another player I might try and sign as well is Ruben Loftus-Cheek. He's on the loan list at Chelsea. Wouldn't mind getting hold of this guy, just paying his wages for the time being, and then possibly arranging a future fee with Chelsea and possibly signing him later down the line. So that's exactly what we did. We arranged a 2-year loan deal with Ruben Loftus-Cheek, put in a future fee offer of £1 million, and we'll wait and see what Jose Mourinho says. Also, we had a transfer offer for Diamante here, the experienced Italian forward. I really don't want this guy in my club. He's on 40 grand a week. He's 32 years old, 75 overall. Pretty decent stats, don't get me wrong. But again, we want those fresher faces, so Diamante going would be totally fine with me. Anya does get sold to Bolton. That's our first sale of the series. And then we took on Hertha Berlin for another pre-season friendly here. Coming into this game in the group stage, basically this is our third one. We just had to grab ourselves a point to get ourselves through. And after Ibarbo made it 1-0 and Hertha went down to 10 men, it was pretty obvious we were going to get it. And we did after Troy Deeney secured the 3 points. So we won that game and we are through to the knockout stages of the pre-season tournament because I'm not really that fussed about it, to be honest, even though there is prize money at stake. And still following that, Chelsea came back to us, rejected bid for Bertrand Traore. We also saw that Stoke rejected bid for Jack Butland as well. So we put in new bids for these 2 players. Stoke City didn't want Gomez. I just offered Gomez because if we do sign Butland, Gomez will be the second choice goalkeeper. Not sure he'll be happy with that role. And of course, there is a Lithuanian goalkeeper as well, 70 overall, and he could do just as good a job as well. I was just trying to soften the transfer fee, really. Still putting a new bid for Bertrand Traore as well. Both of these players here, Butland and Traore, would be really, really good signings for us here at Watford. Young with potential to develop for the future, whilst also being good enough to improve the first team right from the beginning as well. So we submitted a new bid for Butland and Traore there. Also, Montpellier came back to us regarding Diamante, and they are going to match the £2.3 million counter offer we asked for, which is totally fine. And also Chelsea decided they were going to think about the Ruben Loftus-Cheek deal and come back to us whether they'll let us take him on loan or not. We then had another pre-season friendly here against Genoa. This was the semi-final of the Cup. Once again, just decided to simulate it, but once again, it didn't matter because we managed to win the game and get ourselves through to the final. So 4 pre-season friendlies, all of them simulated, and we get ourselves through to the final of this pre-season tournament. I'll be playing that in the next episode. So pleased with that, I guess. I wasn't really too fussed, but fair enough, we're through. Get a bit more tournament prize money, always a good thing. And following that, Chelsea came back to us regarding Ruben Loftus-Cheek and did indeed accept the loan offer, as well as accepting the bid for Bertrand Traore, and also Stoke accepted the bid for Jack Butland. So 3 is the lucky number indeed. We make our first signing of the season, and Ruben Loftus-Cheek is going to come in on a 2-season loan deal, which means for these 2 years, we'll just pay his wages, which are £4 grand a week, and if we want to at any time, we can sign him for £1 million. As for Bertrand Traore, wouldn't mind getting hold of this guy for £5 million. It could be a little bit over his valuation right now, as he's valued at £3.9 million, but still a very decent player for the future. Same with Jack Butland. It is over his valuation, his transfer bid of £9.5 million. He's valued at £7 million, but a 77 overall goalkeeper, 22 years old, it's safe to say he could be worth a lot more than that in the future. So I'm totally fine paying a little bit over the odds. Still, here's Ruben Loftus-Cheek's stats, and you can see how good he looks for the future as well. 63 overall at 19 years old. He could look very, very good in years to come. And as well, 20 episodes episode of, we can see we had another training exercise here, and also that Diamante does get sold to Montpellier. That does end the first episode of my FIFA 16 career mode, guys. I really hope you have enjoyed it. If you want to see the second episode tonight, then get this video to 3,000 likes. It's a lot to ask for, I know, but if you can get this video to 3,000 likes, I'll upload the second episode of my FIFA 16 career mode later on this evening. So thank you very much for watching the first episode. Really hope you enjoyed it. 3,000 likes for episode number 2 tonight, and hopefully I'll see you for that episode later on tonight.